Hey everyone, this is Chris and welcome to Unwanted Tutorials. Unwanted Tutorials is a loose collection of how-to, hands-on, decidedly irreverent videos in which I aim to enable you to create engaging content using DCS's hellish creation tools. Today I talk about immortality. And goodness no, not as your priest. I really don't have good news to share. We are, after all, talking about DCS. Although, admittedly, yes, DCS does have an biblical bug situation. Yeah, their core is riddled with big, fat bugs, and it's not as if this has improved over time. Now, when ED talk about immortality, they really mean invulnerability. These are similar, yet very different concepts in games, and nobody would ever confuse those two. Except perhaps the low-rand talents at Eagle Dynamics. In the end, it doesn't even matter. I believe we understand what ED mean when they say Immortal. They set a group so that it is immune to damage. The units become invulnerable, just like Superman. Note that for player aircraft in DCS, there are two ways to assign immortality, or better, invulnerability to units. We are now looking at Waypoint actions. I'll cover the other one that uses mission options later. So, where and when do we need units to be invulnerable? That's easy and only limited by your imagination. I have used it to selectively enable it in tutorial missions for players when they land or when they attack ground targets, or I made ground targets invulnerable to allow players to attack them more often. Or I place two enemy groups close to each other and make them both invulnerable so they can endlessly duke it out as background action. In a variation of this, I turned off immortality for both groups when the player is near. And of course, I use it on naval groups that have plane guard aircraft. And so forth. Like all tools, invulnerability can be a powerful addition to missions. Before we go into details, let me briefly rattle off a list of FAQ for invulnerability in DCS. Can it be switched on and off at will? Yes and no. It requires a waypoint action. Can it be applied to individual units? Yes. That requires single unit groups. Waypoint actions always apply to entire groups. Can it be applied to ground troops? Yes. Can it be applied to naval groups? Yes. Can it be applied to air groups, helicopters or fixed wings? Yes. Can it be applied to player-controlled aircraft? Yes. Can it be applied to player-controlled ground units, as in combined arms? Yes. Once I turn it on, can I turn it off again? Yes. What happens to groups that are partly damaged when I turn on immortality? The unit's current damage state is frozen, and no, dead units are not resurrected. And as an aside, making a damaged group immortal can be a good way to have your mission, and DCS, go off the deep end and eventually crash. So be very, very careful when you are creative with immortality. With that out of the way, let's see how we apply invulnerability to groups. I want two enemy groups of ground units to duke it out and have both of them invulnerable so they battle each other for as long as the mission runs. So, let's create a group of 5 tanks. I click on the tank item on the left, then choose Combined Joint Blue as country and Armor as category. From Armor, I choose MBT Leopard 2 main battle tank as type. I want to place this group south of Zenakikolki, so I mouse wheel zoom and right click and drag until I have a nice area inside my screen. I click once to place the tank, then click Edit to switch to waypoint edit mode to not accidentally add new waypoints. The tank is heading north, which I note but do not change. To increase group size to 5 tanks, I click 4 times on the plus sign in the group's clown control. I now have 5 Leo tanks arrayed in a north to south line. Using the mouse and left click, I arrange the group's formation to my liking. I make sure that I do not accidentally move the one unit, the group lead, as that moves the entire group. I then click on the waypoint's type control and choose Other, so that the tanks remain in that formation. Now, to make the group invulnerable, I click on the Advanced Waypoint Actions button. This discloses the action box and 7 buttons below that. To add the invulnerable action, I click on the Add button below the box. A panel opens to the left. From Type I choose Perform Command. From Action I choose Immortal. A new checkbox control with the idiotic name Value appears below. Make sure that there is a tick in the box. This turns on immortality for the group, which is really invulnerability. Since this is horrible UI, click on the Edit button below the box to accept this waypoint action and close the panel. Look closely at the box. There should be only one action inside the box and it should read Immortal On. Make absolutely sure that there is only one action in that box. And that's it. This group will become immortal as soon as it reaches the initial waypoint, which is when the mission starts and the tanks spawn. Okay, now let's set up the enemies with minimum effort. Click once into one of the group's units to make sure that this group is selected. Hit Ctrl Charlie to copy the group to the clipboard. Now move the mouse to a point that is roughly 1 kilometer away, and you may need to zoom out and use right click and drag for this. Once that you have found a good spot, hit Ctrl Victor to paste the copied group from the clipboard. Since the pasted group is blue, we need to change that. I select the group by clicking on any of its units. Then, from the country pop-up at the top, I choose Russia. Wait, did Mission Editor just change all units from a Leo main battle tank to an APC BTR-60? Yes, it did. Why? Because Mission Editor was developed by crap talent. Something like this should never happen, and since this quote-unquote feature requires extra code, it follows that whoever developed this was also extra crappy at their job. To avoid stupid effects like this, always use combined joint as country, especially when you change countries. In this demo we don't care. Since the units are invulnerable, they won't be able to kill each other anyway, so it doesn't matter that the Leos have an incredible advantage over the BTRs. Just make sure that the Leos are well inside the BTR's red weapons range circle. Look at the Advanced Waypoint Actions box of the pasted group and verify that indeed they still have the Immortal On action that was also copied from the source group. We now have two groups that will attack each other until Kingdom Come. Run the mission to have a look. First, what am I expecting to see? When the mission starts up, the two enemy groups will take roughly 30 seconds to spin up. While spinning up, they do nothing, and after that time I expect them to attack each other. Now, since the BTR's weapons can't damage a tank, I'm also pretty sure that they won't engage the tanks. DCS's AI works strangely that way. On the other hand, once spun up, I expect the Leos to engage the BTRs, pound them hard, and infinitely keep pounding them. So, the tanks will shell the BTRs, but the BTRs, even though getting hit, won't take damage. You may even see the occasional debris peeling off the BTR, but this is merely some eye candy. The units remain undamaged. The BTRs won't return fire, as they know that their puny weapons cannot penetrate the Leo's armor. More advanced AI may even tell the BTRs to withdraw. Even though that is not happening, I want to make sure that this won't happen. But first things first, invulnerability works. Let's exit the simulation and refine the setup to prevent the BTRs from withdrawing. To make sure that the red units don't withdraw once they are engaged, I can use a waypoint action called Hold. We have already given the group a waypoint action to become Immortal, so we reuse that waypoint and give the group another action. For demonstration purposes, I want to insert the Hold task before the Immortal action. And this is how it's done. I click on one of the red units to select the red group. On the right side, the Waypoint Actions box appears with the Immortal action in it. Click on the button labeled INS to insert a new action before the Immortal action. It is important to use the Insert button, as only that button inserts the new action before the existing one. The panel on the left opens. From Type, choose Perform Task. From Action, choose Hold. We want the group to hold its position since it is invincible. Click on the Edit button below the box to accept the new action. Verify that we now have two actions for the waypoint. First, Hold, Immortal second. Be absolutely sure that this is the order in which they appear in the box. Run the mission. Again, what would we expect? Pretty much the same as before, right? The red group only has additionally received orders to hold their position, everything else is the same. So, once the tanks have spun up, we expect that they shell the BTRs, and the BTRs, because they are invulnerable or immortal as DCS calls them, to silently soak up the damage just like before. But yeah, the Leos now make short work out of the BTRs and kill them quickly, even though we know that they are set to immortal. What kind of immortality is this? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is unfortunately why DCS's entire mission creation feature is crap. Giving a group multiple actions at a waypoint has unpredictable results. You should always assume that at any waypoint only the first action will be executed. We have no idea if nor which other commands that you add to a waypoint will be executed correctly. And yes, I reported this to Eagle Dynamics some years ago, only to find out that at that point in time this was a known issue, and it was known for at least 1 full year ahead of that time. So, mission designer, we must assume that DCS Core can only reliably process a single action per waypoint. Anything else is simply playing lottery. I'm sure that one action is enough for the crappy missions that Eagle Dynamics churns out. Real missions, however, require a real foundation, and DCS simply doesn't have it. So if you ever wondered why there are so few good missions available for DCS, one of the answers is that ED crafted a crappy waypoint action system and doesn't give a damn. So yes, invulnerability does allow you to perform some cool tricks in your missions. Just make sure that you only ever add the Immortal action as the first action and never try to use more than one action per waypoint. I find that invulnerability is a handy tool that allows me to implement some really nice tricks in missions, and I'm glad that it is available. Invulnerability can be used to sidestep other issues that would be far more complex to achieve otherwise. Use it when needed, and always remember that DCS can't handle multiple actions in the same waypoint, and you should be safe. Enjoy using this feature in your missions. I hope we'll meet again soon when I delve into the next fine mission editor feature. Until then, create missions, have fun, and take care!